Hello, today I wanted to talk about working with tolerances in Onshape. So, at this point, if you're a student in my class, you've hopefully seen or watched my presentation on different types of tolerances. So, I specifically wanted to show you how to work with tolerances uh, in Onshape and how to apply them to dimensions. So, I'll kind of show you the wording that they use in Onshape versus what I have in the presentation. I'll try to describe each one. So I'll start with the easier one, which is a general tolerance. Um, that one is actually listed as soon as you make a drawing sheet. There's automatically one in the title block, and this is a general tolerance. So you don't have to put a tolerance on every dimension when you're creating something, but this is there for you to be able to apply to all dimensions generically. Um, so there's a general tolerance. Uh, Now, to do specific tolerances. So I placed a couple dimensions here. This is not in any way, shape, or form fully dimensioned, but I just wanted to show you how to create a couple tolerances here. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to uncheck leading zeros. So I'm going to click on the wrench here. And this is something you may have done already, but I just want to get rid of it. And I'm actually going to up the precision of my dimensions. I may not need it for this case, but by doing that, that basically makes it, if you have a dimension that goes out 6 digits, it'll go out that far and it won't add extra zeros because I unchecked it here. So we'll get rid of that for now. We'll probably end up going back to that menu in a moment. So to add tolerances to a dimension, you can either kind of float over it, and let's see if it pops up here. Okay, single click on it, and this option will pop up, and then you can type and adjust it here. Now, if you don't want to wait for that, you can just double click, and it will bring up the same box. So this box to the right of the dimension is the tolerance. So if you click on it, it'll give you a list. We'll start with, we'll actually do a symmetrical. So symmetrical is a bilateral tolerance if you refer to the notes. And this will do, let me move this guy over, a plus or minus, and then you can adjust it however you want. So 0.05, we'll say. Okay, and I hit enter, and it'll add it on here. Now you'll notice that this has zeros on the end as well. So to get rid of that, let me get out of here. I'll click on the wrench again, and I'll scroll down. And I'll uncheck the other length tolerance trailing zeros, and that'll get rid of that. Now you can also adjust the precision of the tolerance by itself. This again, if you want, you can bring it all out. It won't adjust it unless it is down to that tight of a measurement. But by doing that, at least you're kind of set up to have all your dimensions show correctly and not rounded. So we'll go ahead and add a tolerance to this guy. And again, I'm going to click over here and we'll do a limits. Limits hasn't changed. It is a limit tolerance is a limit tolerance. So the way you do this one is if you put a number up here. So let's say I put 0.5 and I hit enter. It will automatically add it to the dimension. And if you put one in the minus column, it'll subtract it from the dimension. So if I do 0.25. Okay, so now we know our limits are the smallest you can be is 2.75, the biggest you can be is 3.5. That's actually quite a large tolerance, but just for the example, that's how you place it in there. So now I'll show you how to work with a whole note. With a whole note, it is a little different, but it's not terribly difficult. It's just a little different, so I just wanted to show you. So again, double click on it, and you'll get to the whole note, the ability to edit a whole note. And what you want to do is down here it says override precision / tolerance. So we're going to go ahead and check that. And what it'll do is it'll give me the option to add on tolerances to different parts of the whole note. So if you want to do different parts of the whole note, you can click. So if I click on the 82 degrees, I can add a tolerance to that specifically. Or the diameter of our countersink. Okay, I can add it on there. So I'm actually going to change the tolerance of the diameter of the hole itself. So we have a 0.5 diameter. So typically with a hole, you probably are okay with the hole being a little bigger, but you don't want it to be any smaller. So we would do a unilateral tolerance, which in Onshape terms is a deviation. So we're going to click deviation, and we'll have a plus or minus. And basically, like I said, the hole typically can be bigger, but we don't want it any smaller, or whatever we want to put in there is not going to fit. So we're going to make it plus, let's do 1/16 of an inch. Okay, now you'll notice 0.0625 comes out the full length. If I had not changed the tolerance precision over here, it would have rounded to 0.063, which wouldn't have been completely accurate. Especially for tolerances, you really want to be accurate. So that really conveys the information we need. So like I said, you can adjust other parts. And for example, I'll do the 1 inch down here. Hold on, let me get out of here. There we go. So I guess I'll point out here, this is where you click on the number, not the symbol. For some reason, it won't let you go if you try to click on the symbol. It has to be the number. So if you have difficulties, that's why. So we'll try a different one. I've done them all, so symmetrical. So plus or minus 0.03, which is another huge one, but for a whole anyway. So now that's how you place tolerances on a whole note and on different sections of a whole note. The editing dimension portion can be really helpful. Do not try to manually change your number. It will underline it, which signifies that your dimension was improper to begin with. But you can also add symbols. So you can actually type down here. A lot of people don't realize that you can type down here. So if you wanted to add the depth, which you would only do for a whole, but you can click symbol, click depth, and it'll add it below, and then you can type a number after it. You can also add, this is a new symbol for a lot of people in my class, a square. So this will be added if your object is actually square. And I'm not referring to a cube, but square. So I'll talk about real quick. If this was 3 wide and 3 tall, I could put a dimension, for instance, here, and then add a square to it. It's 2 because I made it a rectangle, but this is just an example. I could add a square, and that would signify, we'll go with 2, that it's 2 tall and 2 wide. Okay, it kind of helps on 1 or 2 dimensions, but if you want to use it, you are absolutely free to. Okay, so that should be everything you need to know about tolerances, at least using them in Onshape. If you're not sure what I'm referring to with tolerances and you're a student of mine, please refer back to the slideshow presentation in the